And we wish to welcome Derek Shoemate. He is the councilman-elect for District 3 for our Kershaw County Council. That is the Elgin area. Okay, now we need an adoption of the agenda. Anyone care to make a motion that we adopt the agenda for the evening?
Move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I second.
Janice seconds. Can I get an aye? Aye?
I vote for it.
All right. Now, the adoption of the minutes as written and sent out via email. Does anybody need to see those? I have a couple of copies. Okay? Can I get somebody to give me a motion to take the written copies of the minutes as they are?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, that would be led by Samantha. All right, we have no new members with us tonight, although we do want to welcome Samantha. This is just her second time with us, and we do want to welcome her and let her know that she's very much welcome. Now, we have some guests with us back here. They came with Jada. I do not know who all they are as far as their names go, but they are the Braceys. Okay. Sandy Hart is not with us tonight. She is sick. So the treasurer's report, beginning of October, the club account is $1,555.58. There's a reason why I don't remember those people. There were deposits made of $755. There was a check written for $350 to the South Carolina Federation of Republican Women for the January meeting. Bank fees of $6.99 for an ending balance at the end of January of $1,453.59. Now, if I could get Janice Caldwell to come up here. We have an appointed position. She will be our new parliamentarian. I'm going to ask her to speak just for a moment and tell you about herself with the Republican Party so that you'll understand her credentials.
Wow, my credentials. Okay, I am Janice Caldwell, as she just said. Most of you do know me, some of you do not. I have been involved with the Republican Party since 1990, so I've been around for a while. I have been chair for the Kershaw County Republican Party about 4 times. I have been third vice chair one time. I have been secretary one time. So I've been around. I have conducted about 3 or 4 state convention, county conventions. Been involved for quite some time. I appreciate Sissy appointing me this job. I hope to do the best I can in the knowledge I have and the knowledge that I'm going to gain from all the wonderful literature she's given me to read. So, anyway, I appreciate everyone that's here tonight. I want to see this group grow so we can get something done. And thank you, Sissy, for all that you do, beyond and above. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Like I say, it's an appointed position, but I would like to have your approval. If there's anybody that has a problem with Janice being our parliamentarian, now is the time to speak. I didn't think anybody would. I didn't think I was getting ready to say no. Thank you, Janice. This is our new parliamentarian. She will be interrupting me quite a lot.
Hopefully not.
Until I get all of this ruled down. Okay. Now, I want to ask everybody to fill up our bottles. We have our baby bottles for the Pregnancy Crisis Center. So we want to do those. Now, we have Mr. Derek Shoemate. He is the councilman-elect, like I said just a few moments ago, for our Kershaw County Council, seat number 3, which is in Elgin, and he has come with us to introduce himself so that we can all get a better idea of him and get a better feel for what he will be doing in his position on County Council. Derek Shoemate.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you inviting me. If you see me slip out after this, I teach a class. University has a continuing education program, and I teach a paralegal class there on Monday nights. I'm giving that up in May. However, that's where I have to spend most of my Monday nights, so I will have to slip out. But I did want to come because I missed the last meeting in January because of the class. I just wanted to introduce myself very briefly. I'm brand new to County Council. Technically, I'm serving on County Council now by appointment of the governor because I was elected in the Republican primary, but I have no opposition in the general election, but that's not for another couple of weeks. So I'm on County Council. I will be fully elected in March, but I was appointed by Governor McMaster, so I have all the ability. I've been to one meeting, so I'm still learning how everything works. It was a very nice meeting, which I was told is not very often the case. So I had a freebie before things start getting complicated tomorrow as we discuss things like the rec center, which we were just discussing earlier. Just by way of background, I grew up here in Kershaw County. I went to Blaney Elementary School, Lugoff-Elgin Middle School, Lugoff-Elgin High School. When I was at Lugoff-Elgin High School, I actually started a Teenage Republicans Club. We didn't have one at the time, and this was in the mid-90s when Senator Dole was running for president. The older Senator Dole was running for president. And we grew to a pretty big club until I left, and after that I joined the Marine Corps, served my country there in the Marine Corps and as a defense contractor, and then moved back home. And before I went to law school, I was just telling the colonel here, I was a newspaper editor in Sumter at the Item. Lived in Lugoff, and then I would commute over to Sumter. My wife and I settled back into Elgin. I went to law school at Carolina. My wife started teaching at Jackson. She went from Jackson to Pine Tree Hill, and now she's at Douglas. Both my children went through the Lugoff-Elgin High School. Well, at Lugoff-Elgin High School, they went through the Kershaw County school system. My son plays baseball. My daughter runs track. And I've just recently returned to private practice. For the last 5 years, I was a federal prosecutor. My office was in Florence, and I prosecuted white-collar crime and human trafficking. And so what I used to tell people when I would deal with victims and institutional and people who had been very damaged by crime is I would always tell them that I cannot promise the outcome because that's ultimately up to someone else, but I can promise effort. And that's sort of what I've done as a candidate and as a councilman. I can't promise what the result's going to be on 1/7 of a decision-making body. I can almost certainly promise we won't agree on everything, but I can promise you I'll always be available and I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can. So that's a little bit about me. My two biggest areas of focus, obviously I represent Elgin. So the two biggest areas I think of any office holder, particularly conservative ones, fiscal responsibility, of course, but specific to Elgin is, and really the whole county, is we see this huge explosion in growth.
Yes.
I'm certainly not anti-growth. I'm a big believer that people should be able to do what they want with their property. But like Ben Franklin said, a man's right to extend his fist ends where another man's nose begins. And we have to make sure that our comprehensive zoning plan is taking into account this massive growth and, where things like green space and recreation being put into that. And so one of the things that Chairwoman Gwynn has started, which I fully support, is to kind of reevaluate our master zoning plan from the ground up because we're not the county we were 20 years ago. And so that's, I think, the biggest issue that I think especially impacts District 3, but I really think all the county. So that's a little bit about me. The last thing I'll tell you is my cell phone number is 803.
Whoa, hold on.
Okay.
All I got is what's that, hold on. Okay, what's your?
It's 803-427-4929. And again, that's my cell. I've had it forever. I plan to have it until Verizon, well, it's not even Verizon anymore, to whoever our provider is. I have to ask my wife, takes it away from me. But text, call anytime. If I don't reach you, I'll call you back. I try to be very, very available to anybody that calls, even if it's to tell you I don't agree with you. I think one of the things that prior politicians I've encountered have been very bad at is looking people in the eyes and telling them the hard things. And if I think a certain way, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you why. And at the end of the day, it's your choice what you do after that. So anyway, that's all that I have. If anybody has any questions, I said I'd be brief. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you said in your former job you were white trafficking and white collar and human trafficking.
I didn't do it. I prosecuted.
No, you prosecuted. Okay. Now,
I was very against it.
well, anti-human trafficking is what he said. Nowadays, with all of the human trafficking that we're hearing coming across the border, now this is a group of very informed people. we were just told that for this fiscal year so far, we have already surpassed 1 million people coming across the border. A lot of that is human trafficking. For those of us who are out there, at the Walmarts, at the grocery store, at the convenience store, what are the one things or the two things that we ought to be looking at to, if we were to see something that could be out of place or make us feel out of place about? What is something that we could be looking for or would be able to recognize as this situation isn't right?
So I want to take one quick step back on that, because before you sort of get to that sort of Walmart example, I think the number one thing you can do is watch what your kids are doing online. Because so much of human trafficking, you're right, a lot of stuff coming across the border is trafficking related. Rarely are they bringing the victims over the border, but oftentimes the trafficking happens after they get here. They think they're coming here for good reasons.
Yes.
So they don't know at the border they're being trafficked. They think at the border they're getting this great ride. But where we're really seeing an explosion in trafficking is, and it's a type of trafficking, is the online exploitation. We've worked cases, I've had more cases like this in this state where young ladies online and she meets somebody, you know, boy or girl, whatever floats their boat at that particular moment. It's often young teen girls who sort of are confused about their sexuality. And they go online and someone says, hey, I have an answer for you. And they get their hooks in with the first picture. And that's when they start. And they say, okay, well now you've got to do this for me, and you've got to do this. We had a case that followed that pattern, and this young lady had been to 7 or 8 customers before law enforcement found her. So the first thing is be very mindful of what your kids are doing online, because that's a big one that affects this area. You know, in terms of things to watch out for, I mean, it's kind of like anything. I would say domestic abuse and trafficking look pretty similar. So if you see somebody that's always cowering down, if you can have a moment to pull them aside, and if you can't, report it. Whatever you do is you don't approach them in front of who might be their trafficker and call it out. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
The best thing is to report it. And what my old office did, what the Department of Justice has been doing, is going around and giving classes to cops. Because a lot of what looks like prostitution is actually human trafficking. And so if you're a Myrtle Beach police officer, which was my area of operation, was the PD region. If you're a Myrtle Beach police officer and you go to a hotel where there's, you know, a John and you bust the prostitute, you may be you may be talking to a 19-year-old girl who's had this done to her since she was 15, and you may be on the cusp of a major trafficking operation. And not to take too much time, but I also put together for different groups a little class on things to watch out for online and stuff with kids, so I'd be happy to come back and do that at some point.
Well, now that might be nice. That sounds very nice.
But it's a big deal. In fact, you want to see something that I use in that demonstration. So for those that have young children, so this is, I only downloaded it for demonstration purposes, I promise you. So this is a calculator app on your phone, right? So you click it. If you're really savvy with an iPhone, you notice it looks a little bit different. But here's what's real fascinating about this app. If I type in a preset number that I picked, as soon as I type in the last one, it goes to a hidden app where I can put photos and videos on my phone that you, my mom, or dad will never see because they'll never be in my photo gallery. That if you can find that, if you Google hidden calculator phone, it's the first thing that shows up on Google. You can download it in the App Store. It's super easy to get. And that's one tiny little example of the crazy stuff that's out there that could be on an iPhone right now. So
That's phenomenal. I would love to hear more of what this man has to say.
Yeah.
Shall we bring him back?
Yes.
Our next
It'll be,
available date is August.
well, that'll be perfect. As I say, May, I'm teaching through May, but I'm clear on Mondays after May, so I'm happy to
Our
come.
next available meeting is August.
Okay, I'll be happy to come.
All right, we got August done. Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Lucy, thank you so much, Mr. Schmidt, for being here. I want to let you know that we have some legislation going through right now that will give further protections to those being trafficked. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Well, I'm co-sponsoring a good bit of it with Katrina Shealy, Senator Katrina Shealy leading that. It's just very clear there are victims in trafficking, and what they do illegally while they're trafficked. It's not up to them. They don't have control of their own lives, so I don't think they should be prosecuted the same way as anybody else. So I just thought I'd add that since you brought it up, and that we have current legislation to address exactly what you were talking about.
Well, thank you for being on that. It's
Yeah.
huge. So, yeah, so anyway, again, I really appreciate you having me. Any more questions for me? And again, you got my phone number, happy to talk to you. My answers, at least for the next few weeks, may be, give me a minute to do some research, because what I don't want to do is jump out ahead of something before I properly inform myself. So don't take it as me sort of giving you the Heisman. I will come back to you, but my dad, I got elected, and the first call I got was my dad, and he said, hey, you know, it floods in front of the house, what are you gonna do? I'm like, Dad, like, really? You know, so the answer is it's a state road, I found that out today. But we're still, so again, it takes some time, so I appreciate you guys having me. And again, I look forward to coming back in August, I'll put something together, and maybe if you want, maybe I can talk to you, maybe we can do something together.
Sure.
So it'll be awesome.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. We'll just have to wait till September. Okay, and now we are going to have the first song or two. I'm not sure how many she's going to sing right now, but Miss Jada Bricey once again. I will take a seat.
Let us break bread together on our knees. Let us break bread together on our knees, on our knees. When I fall down on my knees with my face to the rising sun, and I cry, oh Lord, have mercy. I cry, oh Lord, have mercy. I cry, oh Lord, have mercy on me. Let us drink a cup together on our knees. Let us drink a cup together on our knees, on our knees. When I fall down on my knees with my face to the rising sun, and I cry, oh Lord, have mercy. I cry, oh Lord, have mercy. I cry, oh Lord, have mercy on me.
Okay, I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the music that she's going to sing for us tonight. Let Us Break Bread Together, she just did. Now, this is a song that comes from the Gola area in South Carolina. And this is a song that slaves used to sing to indicate that they intended to escape. So that's what the meaning behind that song means. Now, to get to the main event. Colonel William Odom, the chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party, Sumter, South Carolina Republic. I just gave you a big promotion. He is the chairman of the Sumter County Republican Party and retired Air Force veteran. He's been an active member of the Republican Party for the last 8 years, and he has voted Republican since Ronald Reagan. Now, I have too, but that was my first vote. Was it your first vote?
No, I think it was, because he gave us a raise, and I said I could read it.
Okay, now, he retired after 23 years with the Air Force, and he went to work for the Kershaw County School District, and retired after 19 years with them as their senior network systems administrator. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I got no clue what that means. But apparently, he does. Colonel Odom was commissioned in the South Carolina State Guard in 1998 and presently serves as the Deputy Chief of Staff for Cybersecurity and Intel. He has been married to Miss Jane Hunter. They have 3 children and 12 grandchildren, and the man has so many different college degrees that I'm not gonna go. If you wanna know, ask and I'll email this to you, because there's a slew of them. Ms. Rhoda, please come tell us the Robert Smalls story and how the South Carolina Republican Party got started.
Thank you so much. And first of all, thank you for the music. Do I need a microphone?
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
Always.
I don't need a microphone. Okay, first of all, I'm honored to be here tonight. Like you said, my name is Bill Odom. I'm the chairman of the Sumter County Republican Party, not the state party. But more importantly, I'm a sinner saved by grace through the shed blood of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And this is important for you to know this, because this is how I look at life and history. It's through this Christian worldview. To paraphrase Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, the New King James Version, Joseph said to his brothers, "But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." The story I'm going to tell you is one of those instances where the evil of slavery was turned to good for our nation. Black history is truly American history. We cannot separate the two and have full understanding of how our country has become the shining star it is. One of the heroes of black history is Robert Smalls. Robert Smalls was born into slavery in Beaufort, South Carolina on April the 5th, 1839. His mother, Lydia Polite, was a slave owned by Henry McKee, who may have actually been Robert's father. Robert's mother had grown up in the fields, and while Robert now worked in the house with her, she feared he would grow up without knowing the plight of the slaves forced to work in the fields on the plantation. So she showed him the full horror of slavery, making him witness the whippings of the field hands that were a frequent occurrence. After seeing the brutality of slavery, Robert grew defiant and frequently found himself in the Beaufort jail. His mother feared for his safety, so she arranged for McKee to send Robert to Charleston at the age of 12. Robert made $1 a week. He kept it with the rest of his wage and went to his owners. He was hired to work out as a hotel waiter, a hack driver, and a rigger. If folks don't know what a rigger is, those folks who work on the ships. On December 24th, 1956, Robert married Hannah Jones, and a slave hotel maid. With their owner's permission, they moved in together and had 2 children, Elizabeth and Robert Jr. Smalls saved money and attempted to buy the freedom of his new family, but Hannah's owner demanded $800 for her freedom. Robert knew as long as he and his family were in chains, they could not be sure of the future together, and it would have taken him years to save enough money. Robert promised his wife they would one day escape slavery. In 1861, at the outbreak of the Civil War, he was first to work aboard a steamship, the SS Clarion, which operated as an arms transport and a dispatch vessel carrying guns and ammunition for the Confederate Army. Robert piloted the Clarion around Charleston Harbor, gained the confidence and trust of the black crew members and of 3 white officers. Knowing the crew trusted him, Smalls devised a plan of escape. On the night of May 13, 1862, when the white officers left to sweep ashore in Charleston, where they went to dinner, to party, or whatever, Smalls and the slave people on board took control of the ship in the Charleston harbor. He picked up his wife, his children, and others, and succeeding in passing through Confederate checkpoints and turned the ship, its cargo of weapons, and several important documents over to a naval squadron blockading the city. Robert was the same size as the white captain. It was dusk. He put on the captain's clothes and hat. He knew all the signals to sail out of the harbor. So he sailed out of the harbor. He also turned over several important documents and others who planned to gain their freedom. Smalls became famous as a war hero throughout the North. He also volunteered his knowledge of the Charleston's defenses, leading to the capture of Coles Islands a week after his escape. Rear Admiral Samuel Francis DuPont wrote, "Robert is superior to anyone who have come into our lives, intelligent as many of them have been." From Harper's Weekly publication detailing the Smalls' exploits, the people of the North celebrated Smalls and his crews. Congress awarded them half the value of the planet as prize money, which was about that day about $5,000. So that was a lot of money back then. Smalls traveled to Washington to meet with President Abraham Lincoln, where he helped persuade Lincoln to permit black men to serve for the Union Army. Soon after the meeting, Secretary of War Edwin Stanton ordered 5,000 former slaves to fight for the Union. Afterwards, Smalls became the pilot of the Union ship, the USS Crusader. In 1863, when he was at the bombardment of Fort Sumter, the vessel took many hits and was eventually sunk, but Robert Smalls did not give up the ship. Smalls' bravery was rewarded with his command of the USS Planning later that year, making him the first African-American captain in the U.S. Navy. He fought in numerous battles during the remainder of the Civil War, but he was never a commissioned officer. In 1897, by act of Congress, Smalls was granted a pension equal to that of a Navy captain. Navy captain is equivalent to a colonel in everybody else's service. After the war, Smalls was commissioned as a brigadier general in the South Carolina militia and purchased his former owner's house in Beaufort, South Carolina. He generously took in some of the McKee family who were destitute. The background of the militia is what the South Carolina State Guard is today. So we are the forerunner. So he was the first black brigadier general in what is now the South Carolina State Guard. He opened a general store and a school for African American children and a newspaper. In 1868, Smalls was elected to the South Carolina House of Representatives and later to the South Carolina Senate. In 1874, Smalls was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. As a member of Congress, he fought against the disenfranchisement of black voters across the South. He represented South Carolina's 5th Congressional District from 1875 to 1879, and from 1882 to 1883. Smalls served in the South Carolina's 7th Congressional District from 1884 to 1887. Among the notable actions of the House were his effort to integrate the U.S. Army regiments and his support of a bill that would have required equal accommodation for black and white people on interstate conveyances. In the 1890s, he was offered a U.S. Army Colonel's Commission in the Spanish-American War and the post of U.S. Minister to Liberia, but he turned down both offers. Smalls spent his last years in Beaufort, where he served as a U.S. Customs Collector. In 1895, he delivered an impassioned speech before the South Carolina Constitutional Convention in an attempt to prevent the disenfranchisement of black voters. In 1897, the University of South Carolina founded an annual lecture series named for Smalls. The U.S. Army vessel Major General Robert Smalls was commissioned in 2007. According to the U.S. Army, it is the first Army ship named for an African American. Robert Smalls died of malaria and diabetes in 1915. He had witnessed slavery, emancipation, the right of American men to vote, and served in the ranks of the U.S. government. W.E.B. Du Bois said on the history of freedom that the slave when free stood for a brief moment in the sun, then moved back again towards slavery. Smalls was lucky to live in that moment in the sun. He died as South Carolina worked to recreate slavery through the Black Codes and Jim Crow laws. Despite this, Smalls refused to engage in pessimism, telling the South Carolina legislature, "My race needs no special defense, for the past history of them in this country proves them to be the equal of any people, anywhere, and all they need is an equal chance for the battle of life." Smalls authored legislation South Carolina the first state to provide free and compulsory school systems in the United States, he also founded the Republican Party of South Carolina. It's the history of Robert Smalls. It's truly the history of the United States.
Senator Gustafson's gonna have to leave, so Bill, if you'll come up here and let us take a picture real quick. Jada, come up here, please. We're taking pictures.
We're taking pictures, and then she get her phone and take a picture. So y'all should somebody have to email these pictures.
We can do that, sir.
Is that your camera, Tiffany? Send that to me.
All right, that'll be the first picture on the post. Nope, those are mine.
Mr. Odom,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have a legislative, 2022 legislative manual?
Yes, a gentleman named Merle Smith sent that to me as soon as he got to become the speaker. I said, how do I read this thing? The guy in teenage books is that big, and the letters are about that big.
Well, then I have something else for you. This is my backup gift. This
Okay.
is just a brand new Republican flag.
Ooh.
You can use at your meetings, your house, or parties, you know.
Well, that's gonna work perfectly for our read all of this coming through.
Yes, and I didn't open it because I didn't want to get anything on it.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you for coming and sharing,
It's my,
the
my,
history.
my pleasure.
I
We need to
think,
go out
I
here.
think Sister Gustafson is, Senator Gustafson is gonna have to leave us.
And this is for you. I'm going to be very quick. It's a book of prayers from 2022. It's printed every year.
Oh, yes.
And I often give these as special gifts to people. And certainly we've prayed together many, many, many times. So enjoy the little book. And then I have one more thing, since you have one. Jada, how old are you? 17.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
You're old enough to write a great letter. This is the legislative manual. It's printed every year in a little book like this, and it's every single elected official at state level. And all the contact information. More information you can use this for years. But it's kind of handy. A lot of people don't know it exists, but I want to give it to you because this is a connection for you in the future. Okay? Everybody's in it, including me.
Thank you, Senator Gustafson. All right, back to our program. Now we're gonna have Jada. She's gonna sing Wade in the Water. Now, it is believed that this song is Harriet Tubman's favorite song. She made 13 trips south to free more than 70 slaves. This song was used to tell the slaves that it was time to get off the trail and into the water to keep them from being found by the slave hunters and their dogs. Jane Gracie.
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that yonder dressed in red? God's gonna trouble the water. It must be the children that Moses led. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water.
gonna sing for us once again in a little while, and then we're gonna sing with her. We have reorg happening throughout the state, and, I've got information here I wanted to give. The Kershaw County Republican Party will be having, county reorg March 13th at 6 o'clock at Willard Technology Center. The makeup, precinct reorg, thank you for fixing my wordage. Then precinct reorg makeup meeting will be held at Proctor Hall 1 week later on the 20th. And then the county convention will be April 17th. Now ladies, we need to help our county. We have radicals who are trying to take over our county. This is a call to action, ladies and gentlemen. We each need to get involved. Excuse me. We each need to get involved to keep our Republican Party what we know. We do not need our Republican Party. Remember last month, we talked about oneness, and we talked about unity and the difference in the two. We do not need to become oneness. That is what these radicals want. They are a oneness group. So we need to get together, and for the next few weeks, we need to do everything we can to reorganize our precincts. How many precincts are there, Janice? 34? And there's 5 or 6 that are not organized at all. So we need all hands on deck. And it's really not a maybe, kind of, sort of, please, if you don't mind. It's a call to action, ladies and gentlemen. You need to call your neighbors. You need to talk to everybody. And if you can help us with our Super Saturday we're going to be doing, let me or Janice know. We will get you all the information that you need for what we're going to be doing with that. Okay? We're trying to get the word out. We're going to spend one really serious half day, really, to be honest with you, where we get out and we canvass our county. So it's an all hands on deck. And like I say, if you'll speak with me or Janice, we can get you the information that you need to get involved with that. And like I say, ladies and gentlemen, it's not really an ask, it's a need. Okay? Now, we had Eric Koloff coming right here into this building, April 15th. I have been trying for 6 weeks to figure out some way to get it where you could buy tickets on our Facebook page. Having no luck. Venmo didn't want us because we're 501c. PayPal just wanted to play with us. They weren't really interested in doing anything. They just wanted me to talk to them on the phone. And I've tried several other ways. I've done the Facebook monetary things, and they're going, 501c, no, but we'll talk to you on the phone all day long. So I've had all kinds of trouble. Well, finally, Miss Parks, the owner of the establishment, Lori Parks, she gave me her Venmo card so that I can put it on our, so that's what will be going out. This will be redone tomorrow. It'll be on the latest page, but it'll have one of those, the little bar, what do you call it? QR codes?
QR code.
Q codes, yes, it's gonna have one of those on it, okay? And that's where you buy your, tickets. I'm gonna do it first thing tomorrow morning.